All right, we are on to In Carnuntum, part 12. This one's kind of short. It's just maybe like 5 or 6 sentences. If you do the job in a principled way, with diligence, energy, and patience, if you keep yourself free of distractions and keep the spirit inside you undamaged, as you might have to give it back at any moment. As if you might have to give it back at any moment. If you can embrace this without fear or expectation, can find fulfillment in what you're doing now as nature intended, and in superhuman truthfulness, every word, every utterance, then your life will be happy. No one can prevent that. So again, he is getting again at living with intent. When you are tasked with a job, when you are given the opportunity to show your responsibility, and that you can capably and competently manage a task, whether it's for the people, for yourself, if you do it in a principled way, with an intentfully principled way, keeping yourself free of distractions, then that's an excellent thing to do. And now he says here, though, and keep the spirit inside you undamaged. So that is to say, to not be corrupted by distraction, to be swayed by the opinions and justifications and beliefs of other people. And I'll caveat that with, sometimes that does happen, and there's sometimes very logical and real reasons for that. Perhaps you're at a job and your boss says, you have to do this way, and you might not agree. And so part of your spirit might be a little crushed having to do it that way just to keep your job. But I mean, the way Marcus Aurelius would put it, though, or the way he would understand it, is if you're at a job where you're frequently exposed to situations like that, and you're not satisfied, you're dreading to go into work, things aren't going too well, he would then say, likely, that you should probably go try and pursue a different job. It doesn't mean you have to rewrite your whole life, but to begin looking for a place that respects your opinions on the field, or your work ethic, or your way of doing things, or perhaps find a way where you can mitigate that, whether it's you start up your own thing on the side where you do have full reign to do things your way, and insofar as they are well thought out and actually productive and helpful to other people or to yourself, and there's no malicious intent there or ill doing onto others, then your spirit will remain intact. And when he says spirit here, he means your nature, who you are, your understanding of yourself, your understanding of yourself, and your ability to enact that understanding onto yourself, others, and the world. And when he says here, though, the spirit inside you undamaged, as if you might have to give it back at any moment. So, playing into that broader theme of, we get this one life and this one opportunity to find out our spirit, to find out who we are. And even in small and seemingly insignificant scenarios and situations, it could all be gone, or a debilitating injury, or something might happen where then you're no longer able to operate your body the way that you might want to, or use your mind the way that you would prefer. And in those situations, where you're kind of giving back your body, or maybe not even so much as giving it back, but losing aspects of yourself that you're able to control now. If you've lived where your spirit is undamaged, if you've lived that way, then you'll be guarded to a degree against some of the regrets that could come from, my God, like I always wanted to try skiing, but now I've lost my leg or my foot, and I know there's adaptive equipment now, but that's just a spitballing example. So, I always want to learn how to play poker or something, like really well, and but my mind isn't isn't as sharp, and I don't think I'll ever reach my full potential. I'll never push that edge anymore. And now, in saying that, though, certainly you could push the edge of your new capability, but you might always have some sort of longing for what could I have been, or what could I have accomplished. And so, by protecting the spirit, you guard yourself against those type of thoughts. And alluding back to our example with the boss there, potentially telling you to, paperwork has to be done this way, or dress code always has to be this way. You always have to greet other clients this particular way, and it might be fine and all, and very very appropriate and respectable, but it might not be your style and your way, and so it tends to eat at you even a little bit. It might degrade you a bit, and then at the end of your career, if you've lived a full career like that, you might look back not really satisfied with how would it have been if I got to express myself in the ways that I would have preferred, and what aligned with my values and my intentions. And so if you can embrace this responsibility to yourself, this responsibility to demonstrate yourself to the world without fear of negative consequences, and again, with the caveat of not doing anything malicious or evil out there, but with good intentions, and not let the fear of other people's opinions sway you, and also expectation, though, like not to go out there and if you expect that your way of doing everything is, or doing some things, is better than the way your boss or manager had described, and then it falls flat and it really isn't that good, you might feel pretty poorly of yourself, that you are a fool for believing in yourself. But if you don't have an expectation to be, you might have an expectation that you know what to do, but to hold on to that so strongly, where if you are actually met with failure or setback, or not as good of a reception as you envisioned in your mind, that can be very demotivating, but not to be demotivated, not like with these expectations, because then that might sway you to just revert back to the old thing, but to use it as an opportunity to learn, adapt your strategy. Maybe you end up doing a blend of what you do, and then see the wisdom or rationale behind what your manager had been proposing. And so with that, you can find fulfillment in what you're doing now, as nature intended, as what your nature intended, and in superhuman truthfulness, every word, every utterance. Then your life will be happy. And no one can prevent that. That's very much so in line with, maybe not is wholeheartedly in line with logotherapy and existential therapy from Viktor Frankl, but this is something I'll often ask my clients: is that the truth? Is that the truth? Is a very powerful question, and it's not that I'm questioning their honesty or anything like that. But when you really ask yourself, like, is what I said the truth, or is it 99% the truth? Did I embellish it a little bit? Did I hold back something that maybe makes me seem better or more worthwhile or less of a prick? These details shield us from the truth, and then with the full truth, that's when we have the opportunity to really to demonstrate who we are, like, for lack of a better terms, like truthfully who we are as people. And if you can go through life saying, I honestly tried my best, I did what I thought was best given the circumstances, given my beliefs about the situation, it can help shield you from a lot of regret or self-doubt, sadness over a decision, anger over the various outcomes that might come to be, because you honestly did the best that you could, given everything that you understood. But also alluding to the past passage, number 11 there, it's in your best interest to think about exactly why you believe that a certain thing is the truth or the best thing to do prior to doing it, or with as much time as you can give yourself, because some things have to happen rather quick. And what he's saying though is if you can do that and muster together all that, again, easier said than done, but if you can do that, you'll be happy, or at least, he says that very definitively. I would digress there a little bit. I would say then you have the highest chance of having a happy and content and worthwhile life, as opposed to a life built around even little lies or small mistruths. And the only person, like, nobody can prevent that ultimately. In saying that, again, in certain extreme situations, hostage situations, or you're on a street and someone has a knife against you or threatening your spouse or your child, you might not have the full opportunity to, you might have to make a very quick, calculated decision of whether or not, what you're going to do in that situation. And I think for some people in those ones, it could be easy to say that, cowering back and falling prey to the demands of the aggressor can seem like an ego hit. But I would caution that, just because, in that moment you might view, my wallet is not worth as much as my life or my family's, the next 40, 50, 60 years together. I can replace the wallet, even if I might seem like a coward for throwing it away and kind of shielding and running with my family away from that scenario. Nobody, but in that moment you might want to tell the guy that he's a bad person in a variety of ways, and so in that way you might be prevented from being honest. But it's in that quick calculation where you might think, it's better to be not fully expressive in that moment. Again, I'm not saying this isn't advice or anything like this. This is just my kind of stream of consciousness. There's no definitive way to guarantee that your life will be happy, but there's ways to certainly make the chances of that more likely. And oftentimes, aside from extreme circumstances and infrequent circumstances, the only person that can prevent you from being honest is you and your own judgments about what other people may do or think or say about you. Do about you. Do to you, in a less extreme way, like maybe being fired or not being invited to the social gathering or something like this. Oftentimes it's only you that, and sometimes it might only be you that knows that you're telling that little mistruth or being not fully honest, and everybody else might think, wow, that person's a great individual, Tim's a great guy, that's great. But you'll know if you're lying. You'll know if you're not being fully honest, and that will degrade your soul, as he said in several past passages. So I suppose it's not, try your best not to get in your own way, and keep trying your best to figure out your nature, is what he's getting at here. And then your spirit will remain undamaged. And but sometimes, I will say, sometimes it's that damage of doing something like this, like being dishonest to a friend or a coworker, and the bite that comes back and the lessons learned that can then help us as individuals learn, well, that certainly didn't feel too good after that. I will learn from that, and my spirit going forward, I will try and heal over that scar and heal it to the best it can, and over time hopefully damage my spirit less and less over time, remembering the scars and the pain that came with it, and the lessons learned. Thanks for listening.